Good morning, everybody. Reverend Dave Roach here again, uploading the next installment in our New Year's series. I had said in previous videos that we were going to, this year, teach the Bible one principle at a time. As you've seen from the previous videos, we've already covered subjects such as sowing and reaping, restitution, things of that nature. Today is going to be much the same. Excuse me. We're going to cover an age-old question. Should we judge? Doctrine of judgment. And this is a question that has pondered the church for quite some time. Because the Bible says in some places, it says, judge not, lest ye also be judged. But it also says, judge nothing before the time. Or, know ye not that ye shall judge angels? So the question has brought about quite a bit of controversy amongst Christians. So we're going to attempt to answer that question today. And I believe thoroughly, in the few minutes that we have, that we're going to have some understanding of the subject. When the Lord said, judge not, lest ye also be judged, he said that for with what measure you meet shall be measured to you again. That is simply saying that however high a standard you hold to somebody, that same standard is going to be held to you. That seems logical and reasonable to me. And we have these people in society, though, that will tell you that, well, we can't judge that brother, we can't judge that sister. And true enough, we cannot judge the way God judges. That is not for us to do. So I cannot judge the next man on his personal faults or shortcomings, or the next woman, however you want to put it. However, it is impossible to go through life without passing judgment. Case in point, when you watch this video, you're judging me right now. You're making determinations and decisions based on you watching the video, on whether you are going to continue watching the video or further ones down the road or not. That is a judgment. And we, as Christians, must judge. We must judge. You do yourself no favors by not passing judgment on particular situations. I'll give you an example. Mama, daddy, if your son or daughter is getting ready to go out on their first date, and the young man or the young woman that comes to your door to pick your child up, to take them on their first date, you better be judging that person. Because if this young man or young woman comes to the door and they have an appearance of a unscrupulous person, let's put it that way, then you better be making a judgment call right then. If we went by the standard that, oh, we can't judge the brother or sister, then you are potentially putting your child in harm's way. In other words, I wouldn't let a young man come to my door to take any of my daughters out on a date if they walked up to the front door and had chains and earrings and their face was covered in tattoos, and I would be leery of letting my daughter go with that gentleman. Same goes for ladies. If mamas, if a girl comes to your front door to go out with your son and she has got a skirt on up past the cheeks of her butt and her cleavage is hanging out, you're going to make a judgment. And you're lying to yourself if you think you're not. Fact of the business is that you cannot go through life and do so safely without passing judgment of some kind. So how do we do it? And as the Bible says, judge ye a righteous judgment. Well, you simply have to take your thoughts and feelings out of the matter. And you have to go with what God has already said. For example, I don't have the right to judge homosexual, for example. I can't judge that man. But it's a good thing I don't have to. You see, God already has. He says, if a man lieth with a man as he lieth with a woman, both shall be put to death, for they are an abomination unto God. You see, that's not my judgment. That's his judgment. And you are not passing your judgment. You are simply agreeing with what God has already said. And thereby, it makes it a righteous judgment. Because God is the only one in this universe who is righteous. You're not righteous. God has got a very good imagination, and he's pretending you're righteous so you can get to heaven. So that is the way that we are to judge. We are to, on any subject, take what God has said and make our judgments based upon what God says about a subject or situation. That is the only way to pass righteous judgment. It's the only way that you are assured that you are going to be correct 100% of the time when it comes to making judgments in life. If we go by our own thoughts or feelings, we may be able to, we might get off point or get off track. But you cannot go wrong by judging according to what God has said. And I use the homosexual as it's a shining example. Or we can take something as simple as dress. The way we appear, the way we dress ourselves. The Bible speaks of people having the attire of a harlot. Now, we all are adults and we know what that is. It's a whore. It is a female of ill repute. So if you're watching television and you see a young lady dressed as we previously had said, you can make an accurate assumption that that woman's a whore. Not because you think she is, but because she is wearing and demonstrating by what God said. a whore does and the way a whore looks. Or, gentlemen, you a whoremonger. What makes you a whoremonger? Makes you a whoremonger is that you like whores. And that's not my opinion. That's what God said. He said that about you. Not me. Not the next man. God did. He said that, excuse me, that there's a time to kill, a time to plant, a time to sow, a time to laugh, a time to cry. That's his word, his opinion. And at the end of the day, it's his opinion that matters. It's like people all against the death penalty. Well, why? Well, the Bible says thou shalt not kill. No, it's not what it says. It says thou shalt do no murder. Thou shalt do no murder. So if a man comes into your home, kills your family, and then goes through our system and he is sentenced to death, that is not murder. That is what we call justice. And there is a difference. There's nothing innocent about that man. That's what murder is, the shedding of innocent blood. And I didn't make that judgment. God made that judgment. So, should we judge? You mighty right we should. For your own sake, you better judge. You better be making judgments on what comes into your house, making judgments of where your children go. Because if you don't, and you just let them go and let them go and let them grow, they're going to end up dead or in prison or in bad situations, one or the other, because you failed to make a proper judgment. Simply saying, church, you got to keep our opinions out of it. And you have to judge according to what God said. Because then you're guaranteed that it's not you doing the judging. He has done it. Till the next time, God keep you and bless you. We love you in the Lord.